why you're here today at this great conference.
Good morning. I'm here to support public education on government decision making and encouraging all of our citizens to kind of wake up and follow what's going along. My subject will be federal Indian policy, and by policy I mean decisions made by the federal government and state governments that affect the lives of all Americans. So that's my general subject. I'll also be focusing a little bit on the Montana election process, which is troubled with election irregularities, specifically on some Indian reservations. So I'll be in concert with Chris Cortlander, the founder.
That'll be an exciting talk.
Yes,
I know where
yes.
that one's going, and it's very exciting.
Yes, well, and it's a critical time. We have the vote coming up in November, and Montana is a critical state. And Montana, unlike many of the other states, has lost so much of its water. It's affecting farming and cattle, and we've lost control of the water and access to the huge supply of water here because of some of the decisions made by the federal and state government, which have facilitated tribal governments. So my focus is always on the decisions made by our elected officials at the federal and state level, which throw a lot of resources and services to only one small piece of our population. And I think that's problematic. We're all American citizens, and we need to unhyphenate America.
Well, very recently I read an article that mentioned you.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, it was, I'm sorry to say, it had a narrative to it that was a bit
Yes.
of a left-wing spin.
Yes, but you know, I have to thank, you're speaking of the Montana Human Rights Network, and I call them my very best press agents. They have tracked me and called me names since 2000, 18 years.
Really?
Yes, and they are the best biographers of every single thing I say and do, and they distribute that information pretty much accurately, and then they just call me ugly names.
Yeah,
Well,
they called you like the
they call
most.
me anti-Indian. They call
Yes.
me. I can't imagine. I can't remember all the names they call me, but you know, I think the American public is smart enough to know that name calling is a lost cause.
Right,
Name
but
calling-
why do they believe that you are anti-Native American? That's what I'd like to address.
Because
And
they believe that I'm anti-Indian because I oppose many of the government decisions made by the federal government and state government on Indian policy. So because I expose and speak about those policies and decision making, if you object to any policy that throws resources or preferences out to one ethnicity, well, you're anti-Indian. But as a matter of fact, I am an Indian. My husband is Indian.
don't you live on tribal land?
Oh yes, I've lived on the Flathead Reservation since July of 2015. I've lived on the Yakima Reservation for 16 years, and the Oneida Reservation in Wisconsin for 10 years. I've lived on Indian reservations most of my professional life, and my closest friends are tribal families. I work with tribal families and tribal members. And as I said, my husband is Shoshone, and I am Cherokee. And because of the Elizabeth Warren fiasco, I thought, you know, maybe I better check my DNA, because I was told I was French and Indian all my life. And so in December, I sent in one of those Ancestry.com samples, and it came back, and lo and behold, I'm zero French. You know, my maiden name is French, but I'm zero French. But I'm 30% Native American from southeastern United States. And so that's
Where
my
the Cherokees were.
DNA. And my husband is a direct descendant of Sacagawea's adopted son, Basil. And so we have always cherished our ethnicity, but we cherish being an American citizen even the more so. Everybody's ancestry should be cherished and respected, and everybody's customs and cultures should be valued. And we do. I deeply value American Indian traditions and cultures. But the most important thing I can cherish is my liberty, my freedom, my right to speak. I certainly give the Montana Human Rights Network and anybody else in the country their right to free speech. But they deny that to me, or they would rather I just shut up. But you know, that might have worked when I was 20 or 30, but I don't shut up in this country for any reason. And I